Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Anker Thunderbolt 3 13-in-1 dock. Now, I do have other Thunderbolt 3 docks, but I've been looking for something a little bit more modern. We do know that, of course, Thunderbolt 4 has launched. You can now get laptops and other systems that have it. I've got one of these older HP docks that I got a pretty good deal, I would say, on from Microsoft Store, 150 US, 120 watt power delivery, which is high for a $150 Thunderbolt 3 dock. The Anker, though, is a little bit different. It's more similar to the Cal Digital, was it the T3 that's been on the market for a long time. And if you're not familiar with Anker, they are reputable. I did purchase this. This was not furnished to me for review purposes. And the reason I liked this, as opposed to something more affordable like the HP, which I do think is well designed and functions well, is that it is a little bit more feature rich. In addition to that, you get an 18-month warranty with Anker, and right now this is retailing for around 200 US. So I think that if you look at what's out there, you'll find that this really is in the right position with regard to pricing. Of course, I would like to tell you that Thunderbolt 3 docks and soon Thunderbolt 4 docks will be even less expensive sooner rather than later, but I'm not sure that's going to happen because a large part of this is, well, originally was licensing with Intel, but that's baked into the price on all of these. This is a fairly small unit, which I happen to like, and still feels really solid, at least appears to be well made. We have an SD card slot, media reader on the front, really like that. I believe this is the power button. So power delivery here is not as rich as it is with the HP, but in terms of profile, form factor, I do prefer at least the look of the Anker over the HP. Granted, the HP has the design language for my one of my monitors at least, so that's nice, the Dream Color display, but I thought the HP was going to be something I could mount to the Dream Color as per HP's own marketing. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. So 85 watts here, or it might be 87. I think it's 85. The Cal Digital is the 87 watter. And you know, that should be good for most laptops. I mean, most Thunderbolt 3 and 4 compatible laptops are going to require 65 watt chargers. If you're working with something that's a desktop replacement, that's likely going to be over 100 watts, and this is not going to do it. But if you're looking at Ultrabooks, this should do it. Another nice thing specifically about the Anker, for those of you that will say, oh, get the Cal Digital is so dated that it is not backwards compatible. So in other words, this is going to work because of the more modern chipset in it with any USB peripheral, essentially, whereas if you go to use a lot of Thunderbolt 3 docks, at least from the first gen, like the Cal Digital product, they won't work with anything that isn't Thunderbolt 3. So if you want something, again, that's a little bit more modern, this, in my opinion, is the better way to go. A lot of people will swear by the Cal Digital product. I'm not knocking it, but most of those people are Apple users, so that's another thing to keep in mind. So on the back of the device, flip it this way, you can see we have Ethernet, because that's the concept here, is that you're going to use one cable to connect this to your laptop or desktop if you want to do that. I mean, it's really up to you, but your Thunderbolt 3 or non-Thunderbolt 3, but obviously the ideal use case scenario is with a Thunderbolt 3 device. Connect that one cable, and then anything else you want to connect to this, you connect to it, and whenever you come back to dock your system, that one cable is going to provide everything. So power delivery, display out. This does support 4K at 60 hertz, to my knowledge. I'll be testing that. So the whole concept is one cable does it all. A lot of people say, why buy these things? Well, I just explained it. If you want to be able to dock a laptop to, you know, a keyboard, a monitor, a mouse, some external storage, whatever it may be, one cable is going to provide all of that connectivity because you have a little Thunderbolt 3 brick, if you will, like this. So on the front, power button again, your SD card reader. I believe this is UHS 2 support, so that means the fastest card reader that money can buy, just like on the older Cal Digitals. But bear in mind, you need to have a really fast SD card to leverage that. You will need a UHS 2 card, so don't throw in a slow SD card and then wonder why you're not getting higher throughput. It's all going to be based on the actual SD card. You can see right here with the two Type-C ports, they're telling you 10 gigabit connection. This one is designated as power delivery. We have a headphone jack. We have a 5 gigabit USB Type-A port right there. And then as we go to the back of the device, Ethernet, the actual power in, which is this power brick right here, which is fairly large, but you know, this is to be expected with these sort of docks. Seems like the cable's a little wound up there. And then we do have HDMI out. That's another big difference between this and something like the HP that I was showing earlier, is that the HP is leaning on DisplayPort 1.2, I believe revision ports. So here we are getting an HDMI 2.0. It's not a 2.1. Even though we are in 2021 and that's all the rage with new GPUs and televisions that support 4K at 120 hertz. Here you are getting HDMI 2.0, but you still have a display port that is the 85 watt Thunderbolt 3 port right there, not display port, but I meant a Type-C with display capability. So this also can output 4K at 60 hertz. Then you have another Thunderbolt port right there. So just bear in mind, that's another reason I liked this dock in terms of overall I/O, and then 3 Type-A ports. So again, to round it out, form factor, pricing, Anker is a brand. I don't have any issues with them. Their products have been quality in the past, so I'm expecting the same. And then just the overall flexibility. Granted, this is not ideal for travel. We are still in a pandemic, so hopefully that's not what your goal is. But if you are looking for a more modern Thunderbolt 3 dock, I do feel like this is one of the best to be looking at right now. I have to test it and make sure I'm right about that, which of course I will share in a follow-up. But that's the idea, because even though something like this is a little bit less expensive, you are getting more dated hardware. And again, when you look at the I/O, it's not bad. I mean, 2 USB Type-A ports, Ethernet, the actual power port, you have your Thunderbolt 3, you have a a Type-C that has display out capability, 2 display ports, and then you also have a Kensington lock and another USB Type-A port, headphone, microphone combo jack. I mean, this, from a design perspective, might appeal to some people more, but I think the versatility of the Anker product and the more modern chip, remember, that's an important thing I pointed out, that this is backwards compatible. A lot of these Thunderbolt 3 docks simply, you know, they require Thunderbolt 3. And that might seem like a no-brainer, but a lot of people don't realize when they buy something like the Cal Digital and they go to try to use it with something that isn't Thunderbolt 3, it's not going to work. This will. So I also feel that's a little bit of a smarter buy, investment of money. It's more versatile, and it looks a lot like the Cal Digital. It is heavy, feels solid, aluminum build, so it'll be interesting. We'll also see if it runs cooler than the Cal Digital, because that's one of the major complaints with the Cal Digital is that it does run really hot. So we'll see how the Anker performs. Again, 85 watts of power delivery, supports pretty much everything under the sun, and in my opinion, having the HDMI 2.0 is advantageous, especially with that newer chip inside of this 13-in-1 Thunderbolt 3 dock. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. Hit that like button, and as usual, please feel free to subscribe, and please stay safe. Later.